Hey, what's happening, guys? Dan Darrow here with another Options and Play video update. None of the sacrifices I make to get this video out on a Friday, right? I got construction going on here, and if you hear some drilling in the background, do not be alarmed. Uh, I'm not getting dental work or nothing's falling down. It's just a little construction, all right? But I wanted to get you the video ahead of the weekend so you can get your game plan together for the following week, all right? If that's not dedication, I don't know what is. All right, so Monday before the Open, Oatly, about 2 points, what's expected. Hot IPO that's all of a sudden not so hot. Acts pretty weak into earnings. Seems more like a bearish setup, but I haven't traded this since it's come public, so probably just be a spectator. But I'm kind of curious to see how this acts because, I mean, again, it was at one point a hot IPO that's really lost a lot of momentum, so could be a mover. Also, pay safe. So about $1.25 is what expected. Previous SPAC, it does get a lot of attention, but I mean, to me, this whole trade revolves around whether or not it can actually break like the long monthly downtrend. Um, if it can, there's room to run, but I mean, that's the big question. Like, is the number good enough to get it through the top of this big monthly downtrend, right? So, I think it would be more of a swing focus. You know, if it's good and it can get through that, probably more of a long-term potential versus like a short-term trade idea, in my opinion. After the close on Monday, Roblox, so about 10 points. That's what's priced in. It's been very choppy recently. Last quarter was mixed, but the stock did have a bigger move, so it was a big green reversal. But that's when it was in the mid 60s. Now it's in the mid 80s, so totally different here. I feel like it really needs to deliver. It's been a little bit too choppy for me, and option pricing seems kind of high. So I think I'm going to leave it alone. But, you know, take a look at it the day of, just based off what it did last quarter, because it had a huge move during the session. So even if I don't take options into the print, I'm probably be watching it the day of the print. 10 Cent Music just absolutely destroyed since the Archegos move. They're pricing in 85 cents for earnings next week. It's actually a pretty busy week of Chinese tech reports, but you know, not only is the chart rough, but I feel like the sector, like that group, has just had so much headline risk that people just aren't really focused on them. So the trading's been lousy. So I'm just kind of continuing to avoid all earnings reports in this group until either the headlines die down or the action starts to get better. For the open on Tuesday, Home Depot. So now we get into the retail names. About 10.5 points is what's priced in. They consistently deliver solid reports and they consistently sell off. So, I mean, there's a definite pattern here. The stock may continue to grind up into the print, but I mean, it's really hard to go against historical trends because, you know, the last few quarters were so good, but the stock got hit. And I mean, it has a history of selling off even when it beat and raised. So, it's really hard to go against that. So, maybe trends higher into it, but I'd probably be a little bit more cautious on the actual report. Walmart, kind of an interesting one. Pricing in about 5.25. I mean, it's been lagging Target and Costco and Dollar General real substantially, and it's just starting to turn the corner now, but it's still not at its 52-week high. Um, the question is, do earnings help to accelerate it, or is it at the point where a good report's priced in? Right. So, I mean, 5.25 options aren't cheap, but it has moved more than that both quarters in a row this year. So if I can get risk down, it might be one where I look at a volatility strategy, but even then, it might slightly favor the bull side because of how much it's lagged, like Target, Costco, and Dollar General. C, so about 25 points is what's priced in. So this stock is just consistently prices in big moves around earnings and just does not move nearly enough. So it's really hard to have confidence in this setup with the stock, at or very near its 52-week high and the options pricing in a 25-point move. It would maybe be a swing trade idea for me, but I actually haven't really traded it in a while, so I might just leave it alone entirely. Tuesday after the bell, the only really name on the calendar is Grubhub, which just merged with the company Just Eat, so it just closed. But the problem is there's no options listed on this, so something to do. Even if there was, Dash wasn't anything special, so it's not a whole lot of interest in this for me. Wednesday before the open, lows. So about 9 points is what's priced in here. Home Depot reports first though, and that's definitely going to impact Lowe's. Oftentimes though, Lowe's can have different numbers and or react different than Home Depot. So we'll see where Lowe's is trading going into its own report. Um, and sometimes it can still have a pretty big swing even after like it responds to Home Depot. So we'll have to wait and see on that one. Target, look at this chart. This is incredible. About 13.5 points is what's priced in. I mean, just a true trending pattern if I've ever seen one. Absolutely no dips for months. Expectations are for another strong quarter. It does seem like if they surprise to the downside, this could get hit very hard. But, typically trending patterns, I mean, you're looking for lower volatility around earnings. So calendar spreads, flies, I mean, that's usually how I would approach like a trending trade into its earnings report. TJX. So TJX and Raw Stores both report during the week. So that presents opportunities for Burlington Sympathy Play, BURL, because they don't report and they have weekly options listed. So I don't think I'll do anything with TJX or Raw Stores, but I might do something with Burl because it's a sympathy play and it can tend to react to those numbers. ADI. So about 6 points is what's priced in. Semis have been real tough money this quarter, and the action this past week was kind of weak. ADI is probably not my favorite name in the group, so I prefer to wait and see what they say, see where the stock is trading after before doing anything with it. If it's good, it might help boost sentiment in the sector, but it's probably not something I'll be trading. Wednesday after the close, different big chip name, Nvidia, so about 11.5 points. What's expected is what is expected after the huge run it's had on that split. I just feel like it had better be an exceptionally good quarter for them because expectations are very high. Plus AMD had a good report too, so I think people are even expecting something similar from Nvidia. Um, the stock doesn't always gap a ton, so the premium is the biggest hurdle here because it doesn't always have huge gaps, and laying out 11.5 points seems like a lot on a stock that doesn't have a consistent history of big gaps around earnings. So, I mean, if it's going to have a move, there might be opportunity to get involved during the day or even like the day after. So, I might prefer to hold off here and then just focus on it like the day of, like during the session, see if there's like a decent setup. Cisco, so about 2.25 is what they're looking for. It's been acting great. Seems to set up well for like a grind higher into its print. Recent quarters have been solid, though the stock hasn't really reacted great to them. So, I mean, I feel like it could work its way higher ahead of earnings and then see where it is post earnings, maybe for another potential swing trade if it still hangs in well. Hood. So about 6 points is what's priced in on Hood. First report is a public company. Had a wild move last week, but steadily retracing since. It does seem like there's going to be a lot of tension on this earnings release, and the option pricing's come down to earth a lot. I don't have much conviction with it, but at 6 points, there might be some room for a straddle or a strangle, so I'll have to see where the pricing is on Wednesday, but this one's actually getting more tempting now that the option pricing is starting to come down further. Thursday before the open, so Billy, about 8.25 is what's priced in. It's more Chinese tech reports. Still the same idea, probably avoiding, but this one does tend to move during the earnings session, so I'll probably be looking at it during the day on Thursday. All right, Macy's, which is pricing about $1.85. Kohl's, which is pricing about $4.50. They both report Thursday morning. So those two on their own would probably make me interested in Nordstrom options because of a sympathy play. But then you also have Target and Walmart too. So it's just going to be a huge earnings week for retail brick and mortar companies, and Nordstrom doesn't report. So I'm thinking it might be a nice week for Nordstrom sympathy options. So if I wanted to do something with them, I'd probably have to get in earlier in the week though, because the retailers could start to move after like the Target report. So I might have to get in before Thursday. After the close on Thursday, AMAT, so another big tech name. Priced in about 675. So this one, Lamb. I mean, stocks have acted poorly over the past week, but I mean, Clock was great. ASML had a great report. Lamb had a good report. So I mean, I'm expecting AMAT to have good numbers. It's just, the stock doesn't act great. It hasn't gone anywhere for months, and it really needs to get out of this consolidation to start to move again. My bias is more of the bull side, but I mean, it definitely needs to bounce soon. Otherwise, it could have some room to the downside. It could really be like a big breakdown. Um, I could potentially see this bouncing ahead of Thursday, but if it doesn't, it might be a decent setup for a volatility strategy with technicals kind of, nearing an inflection point here. Farfetch, about 5.5 points is what's priced in. It's been quiet since the Archegos fallout. E-commerce stocks haven't had a great quarter though. This kind of looks susceptible to me. I haven't traded in a while, but depending on how the week goes, might be something to look at as a speculative bearish idea later in the week. And then Friday before the open, Deere, so big industrial rounding out the week. About 16.5 points is what they're looking for. Um, It's the industrials prior to today have been pretty good this week. Deere, it's nearing its high again. Cat didn't react particularly well to its report a couple weeks ago, and I guess after the latest run Deere's had, might be a little bit more cautious. If it is solid though, and the stock hangs around here, it could set up really nice for a swing trade post earnings to see if it makes a run at the 52-week high. So I might have it as like a focus after the report instead of taking options into the print. And then lastly, Foot Locker. So about 4.5 points is what's priced in. Volatility has really dried up on this. It used to be a huge earnings mover. Lately, really hasn't moved much at all. Pricing has come down, but still kind of hard to lay out the money when there hasn't been much consistency on it lately. Sometimes, though, it can move Nike. They're a big retailer for Nike, so sometimes it can move Nike if it's really good or really bad. So maybe like a late in the week lotto on Nike, but that's going to be a game time decision for me. All right. So still some big names due out, so should be a busy week, and hoping for some good opportunity. All right. So if you like this video and you're looking for more information about trading earnings with options, please follow up with the link in the description of the video for more information on options to play. Hope you have a fantastic weekend. Stay well, and I will talk to you all on Monday.